for me, it has been a complete removal process, taking away, like you just said, everything that is either not in alignment or causing harm or some sort of attachment, separating me from myself, from source, and keeping me at this lower density. But when that stuff is removed through things like personal accountability and integrity, I am able to go higher and go lighter, have access to more love, and release resentment.
What's up, Playmates? Welcome to the Psychonauts Podcast. I'm sitting here with Meghan Kittredge, who's an amazing holistic practitioner, intuitive healer. We say divine
disruptor.
Divine disruptor. I love it. I love that. That's the greatest thing ever.
Oh my God.
So awesome. So great to finally meet you in person. We've been trying to do this for a while, right?
I know. It's all in divine timing, I suppose.
Of course. So Meg has got an amazing TikTok channel. I don't do TikTok, so it took me forever to find out who Meg was. But she uses a lot of the Phi Tribe music. She's an intuitive practitioner, healer, spiritual teacher, and just uses all of that tapping into the now, the ever-present moment, that divine consciousness that's eternally here. That's what she taps into, and she does it to my music on Phi Tribe, and she incorporates that into her own channel. And Meg is totally blowing up over on TikTok. She's got just tons and tons of followers, thousands and thousands. I don't know, what are you up to, like 50,000 now, something like that?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very, very good. That's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. Well, honestly, it's kind of a huge honor, mostly because I have such a good time doing it. Like, I can't believe how much I've been receiving having this much fun. It's really like changed my whole perspective on everything, just being on TikTok.
That's awesome. That's really, I've experienced kind of the same thing over here with Phi Tribe and this. It's just, I get to do what I love to do spiritually, and it just, the reward is like the best it's ever been. It's incredible. It's an incredible feeling, right? Amazing.
It really is.
Really is. So tell me a little bit about you. Like, tell me, how did you get into this, and how long ago did you get into this, and like, tell me what the trigger was. Like, what was that thing that you're like, okay, I'm doing this?
The trigger to get onto TikTok or to start my spiritual journey?
No, to start your spiritual journey.
I have always been conscious. When I was a little kid, I like to call it, I came online really early. I was deeply involved in the church, actually, and had a series of really powerful spiritual experiences. And I had so many people that were cultivating consciousness for me at such a young age. But that also came with an incredible awareness of pain and suffering and shame very young. And so I've always had a proclivity toward introspection, understanding, personal development. I was really early on very inspired by spiritual teachings, and I just have always felt that connection to it. And it was really in my late teens and early 20s, I became an alcoholic. And I just spent so much time so deeply separated from self in abusive relationships, just like totally anesthetizing myself to the point where like I didn't even believe God was real anymore. And for that, I mean, that was so far from who I had become. And it wasn't until that I actually caused an incredible amount of harm toward other people that I could really reawaken to what it is that I had become and who it was that I was meant to be. And so from there, again, I got involved, and I had this really beautiful community of people who led me on a path of introspection and personal accountability and integrity, and found my way, a very long, winding story to love and joy is my vehicle toward everything that I'm trying to create for myself.
It's beautiful. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's what they say. It's darkest before the dawn, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
You have to hit that rock bottom, and I can relate in many, many ways. It's like, change or be done. Spirit,
And several times too. That experience was definitely one out of desperation, but I've had other moments in grief. Grief was my the way that I arrived at Reiki energy healing specifically. I had a loss of pregnancy in my second trimester, and I had all these amazing spiritual resources and community, and I had everything that I could possibly need to heal, and I just couldn't. And that's how I ended up at energy healing.
Wow, awesome. What are some of the? Do you have any like experiences doing Reiki that you can comment on that you've like? What for me, I remember the very first time I started to feel the energy. Like I was kind of going through the motions for a while, but then there was that day I was like, oh my God, I feel that going through me. Right? What was that like for you?
I have been chasing those for as long as I can remember. And music is really the way that it started off for me, connecting to, at the time I called it God, and being in what I would now call heart-centered energy, where it's like devotion and almost like spiritual ecstasy. Like I really felt that, and I would channel through art. And so it's something that I had access to early and would regularly practice. And so I would say it's exactly the same thing, where it's like you can just feel it coming through you. And the more I seemed to practice it, and the closer I got to what I now call source or God or spirit, those things started happening more and more and more. And it's just, the thing about it is it makes me feel the most like myself. And that's really for me. Yeah. Cause it's like, feel like a magical being that's kind of like remembering, like, oh yes, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm create. You know, like when you get into the flow with your music, like it's just it.
It's just it. You're just in it. You're just in it. Time just could stop. It could do whatever. You're just in it.
Spend time. Suddenly it's not real anymore.
Yeah. And you're sitting there, like, as for me, when I'm writing music, it's kind of like, I cannot believe that came out of me. Like, how did that even happen? You know? And I know it's not me, it's just flowing through me, you know? But it's just, to be a part of that symbiosis is magical, isn't it? It's just like, wow, to be the glove for a moment, you know?
Absolutely. In my field, we call it a channel. Like, that's probably what I identify with, is like, you feel like a conduit for this. Like there's no other way to describe it.
Totally. You know, I really wasn't a believer in the channeling for a while. Even though I was on the spiritual path, there was the skepticism in there for that. Yeah. And then one time on a psychedelic experience, I started channeling, and I couldn't believe it. It was like I was hearing it, and these words were just coming out automatically, and I was blowing my own mind, and I was talking to somebody else, and it was just. And my friend was like, yeah, you're undeniably channeling, because the stuff you were saying was just didn't even come out like you. It was so different.
Yeah.
When you have that experience, it's very, very like, whoa, what is that? You know, it's very akin to the flow state with music. Yeah. But it's like it has like its own personality and everything. It just like bullies through somehow, you know?
Yes. Well, to my experience anyway, is that they're synonymous. It's almost kind of, I love how you described it as like, it wasn't even you that was coming through.
Yeah.
And, oh my gosh. Like, I just love feeling I would call them different energy signatures, like almost different types of energy that can be channeled through me in different ways. And all of them, I mean, it's all so beautifully high vibrational. It just feels so good, like in whatever way that it comes out.
That's awesome. Well, I was watching and loving what you're doing. You're just so you get on TikTok and you just start letting it all flow through you. And I hear you have the music going, and then you have your people watching live, and then you just start talking, and it's very mesmerizing and very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. A lot of times, especially if I'm doing a live, connecting with others like we're doing right now, where I mean, we've been connected since I've been using your music for so long. Like, I feel familiar with your energy, being psychic, so I feel like really easily, and your heart is so easy to identify energetically.
Oh, thank you.
So I feel like I can connect with you, and it inspires me, and that's kind of what promotes the channel. But when you see my videos, I will get what's called downloads, where it kind of feels like something occurring to me or remembering. And it'll be like a bunch of information about a certain situation, or even just sometimes I'll get the intro to a video and I'll just start, and somewhere along the way it just kind of hooks in and takes over. So many times I post videos, like I'll watch them back and not have even remembered anything that I had just said.
Yeah. I totally relate. That's how I do my show too. For the longest time, I procrastinated with YouTube. For 5 years, I procrastinated. Like one day
Mm.
I'm going to do it, and I would do a video once every 3 months, kind of a thing. And when I decided that I wasn't going to script it anymore, I was just going to go on and just start talking and let spirit come through. Now it's fun because now I don't have to do anything. I just show up and just start talking about my favorite subject, But I know what you mean. You get through it and you're just like, wow, like
Mhm.
I'm hearing it too for the first time in many ways. It's
Yes.
great.
Well,
It's so
and
brilliant.
thank you. And what a beautiful process of self acceptance and worthiness, because it takes a
Yeah,
lot of courage to show up and say, like, okay, I'm going to be here and I'm going to do
it
whatever it is
does.
I say and trust that I'm going to be able to do it. Like, that's a huge process in its own.
Yeah, there's a vulnerability there, isn't there?
Huge,
Like
huge.
huge.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Especially if you end up going and checking out any of my videos, I do Reiki with my hands on
I've
camera.
watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, which looks
It's very cool looking though. It's
yeah.
awesome. It's mesmerizing to watch. Yeah. And then just sitting there, like it looks like nothing. I know what you
No,
mean.
but it's so funny because, like, I know it's energy healing. It's a little bit ASMR-y, like,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
vibe. And so there was like such a huge like thing I had to get over in my own personal process with it about just looking silly.
I love it. That's awesome.
And I'll have, if I actually very rarely get negative comments. I don't know how I ended up with like the world's best community on TikTok. Shout out to all of them, because it's just so much love in the comments. But every once in a while someone will talk about me looking dumb and I'm like, I know. I, I know better than anybody, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's helping so many people. It's outrageous.
That's amazing. And what an amazing feeling to get that too. When
Yeah.
people leave comments and like, wow, I feel like you changed my life and I'm having spiritual experiences just listening to you, that kind of thing. I'm sure
I have
you're getting
trouble
that.
receiving it sometimes because I'm like,
Yeah,
because it's wild to sit
it
down,
is.
film a video, and then affect somebody else hours later, and all of these people having this experience where they felt like I was speaking just to them, which is
Yeah.
how I felt while I was filming it.
So yeah, it's incredible,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
I
And
feel
oh, I was gonna say I've been in the music business for like 35 years, and I've been in those situations where you're getting autographs and people are excited, they want to take a picture with you, that kind of thing. But that is nothing compared to what this is. This is like people emoting the deepest spiritual insights with you and just connecting on such a deep spiritual level that it's hard to articulate. It's really. So when I tell people, I'm like, no, you have to check out the comments. People just kind of roll their eyes like, no, but if you read the comments, they're just
yeah.
very, very heartfelt, because you're bringing into the divine experience and just a
Absolutely.
buzz.
Well, especially it's like you're going with the Phi Tribe, going into their mind. For me, I've been listening to it while I've been sleeping, long before we ever connected. Like, that is such an intimate
Thank you.
experience. And for people to make the decision to allow you into that space with them is such an honor. And then for them to have a powerful experience like that, like,
Mind blowing, really mind blowing. Yeah, so I'm so glad that you're experiencing that too. It's really. I hope that both of our stories will encourage other people out there who are healers to jump in and get involved with this and do this yourself, because the bigger we can make this experience, the better. It'll be a bigger party, a bigger party of people who know they're one.
yes. Well, and we're seeing so many, like, more and
Yeah.
more are the communities growing on social media, and it's a powerful tool. We've kind of taken advantage of this thing that had been potentially scary for so long, and it's turned
Right.
like this love messenger.
Isn't that incredible?
Mhm.
One of my most popular videos, I had one go viral last week, and I'm talking about the idea of us, A, of living in a simulation, and B, the coming singularity in AI, which is like, these are my fun little things to think about in the dream. They're not real. Awesome. So fully realizing all that stuff is part of the dream. I talk about it from that perspective, and I reel it back to the eternal Christ consciousness of the present moment. And what I did not expect was for those videos to go viral. I mean, like, oh my gosh, people really, really resonated with people. And I wanted to get your thoughts and what you thought about that. What are your thoughts about? You just said that it's interesting that we're using basically this evil beast system to send out one of the most powerful messages of love that's ever been sent out. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that is the way of love. My experience has shown me that, like, not only is everything working out for me all the time, but things get transmuted, they get transformed. Things that were intended to be used harmfully get turned into this, like, beautiful giant masterpiece of just transformation. And to me, like, that is totally the nature of what love is. And it's just like, it's so incredible. And congratulations, by the way. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I know that will happen for you many, many more.
I hope so. It will.
It will, because
yeah.
you resonate with people, and what you create resonates. And how amazing is it that that's what we're seeing? Like, after 2020, after all the, like, craziness that's happened, that this is where people's hearts are. Like,
yeah. It's present, and even in your own story, your hero's journey, where you said it was basically darkest before the dawn of your spiritual awakening, that you hit rock bottom, right? It's that this idea of this transcendence is our idea is taking us rock bottom. Look at the world around us. This is what rock bottom feels like, but there's a beauty on the other side of that that's going to be amazing. It already is amazing. It's just waiting for us to catch up.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the more people we get on board, the more people we can take with us.
Absolutely. Carl Jung had a really beautiful saying about this. He said that what contributes to the beautiful scent of the rose is the manure that fed it. So without the bullshit, the scent of the rose is not possible. That transmutation is not possible. So I like to kind of think about it like that a little bit.
Yeah, the power of duality.
Yes.
The higher we go.
Yes. So tell me a little bit more. What are your thoughts about all of this stuff in the realm, in the context of what I call satsang on the channel, but Christ consciousness, from the perspective of the eternal now, that's the eternal one? How do you kind of see this whole singularity happening?
In terms of what's happening in kind of physical reality, or more
in the dream? I kind of see the dream and the spiritual awakening kind of converging into it already is converged, but there's a dualism, there's a separation there. But I feel that this exponential curve that we're on in the dream is going to be this convergence of the dream and spirit as one thing, kind of intertwined as one thing.
Okay.
Not in a transhumanism sense, but just in I have no idea what sense.
Yeah, well, that resonates with me. I find what tends to resonate with me the most is this concept that we're constantly shifting realities. And also noticing, if they've been following you or any sort of content like this, you may have heard of something called New Earth, which is the idea that we're shifting out of this sort of dense, harmful, sad place and going into, land of milk and honey vibes, where everybody is working together and that sort of thing. And I really do see that happening. And I noticed a great divide, I'll call it, beginning in 2020, where we saw a lot of people expanding consciousness and a lot of people making the choice to stay in this lower density, which is neither is inherently good or bad. Like, that's what their experience is. So in terms of the dream, that is resonating in that I find along my path, the higher frequency that I go, those two things become not only converged, but it's more, I have the experience of it being revealed as that has always been the case. And it's me really just accessing it through, I would say, vibration or awareness, and becoming aware that has already been existing, already been enacting in it. And it's almost like I didn't have access to it because I wasn't on the same vibrational plane.
100%. Yeah, we're on the same page. Yeah. It's not linear time. It's ignorance to gnosis, essentially. Yeah. And reflecting as this whole drama of integration with mechanical and biological sort of thing as a fractal.
Well, I also resonate with the idea that We are all parts of the universe broken off in order to have an experience. And
Yeah.
I believe in, I guess some people call it soul contracts, where I chose to come to have this experience that I'm having. I don't like to call them lessons, but things, even painful experiences that expand my desire, or things that are hard that make me clear on what it is that I want. And then I can go and create that, therefore expanding my singular universe internally, and then the universe at large.
Yeah, I'm totally with that.
Yeah.
I kind of think that this I don't like to call it school or about lessons. It's more about refinement.
Yeah.
It's like refining a wine or something. You know, you're using the fermentation and all this whole alchemical process to get rid of the ich and have more of the love and more of the
Yes.
beauty,
Well, that's
right?
that's kind of how I look at the spiritual journey altogether. Is the way that, do you know how they get dirt out of gold?
No, enlighten me, enlighten
They
me.
they put it in a pot and they turn up the heat really, really hot. So the gold melts and actually rises to the surface, and all of the debris falls to the bottom. And that has been my spiritual experience. People will come to me and ask, like, how I developed my psychic gifts. How did I get into this? How did I, do that? And for me, it has been a complete removal process, taking away, like you just said, everything that is either not in alignment or causing harm or some sort of attachment, separating me from myself, from source, and keeping me at this lower density. But when that stuff is removed through things like personal accountability and integrity, I am able to go higher and go lighter, have access to more love, and release resentment.
Right, absolutely. And that's a very different thing from what a lot of people do, which is spiritual bypassing, where the love and light crowd is a very popular thing these days, right? And
Yeah.
it's like they're rising above this pain and they're trying to rise above all of this nasty things that they don't want to face, but you kind of have to dive into that, right? You have to dive into that shadow
Yeah.
and get into that ickiness, right?
I'm actually having kind of a reverse experience with that, where I'm coming from a background of substance abuse disorder and counseling. I was a crisis intervention specialist predominantly throughout my career, even when I began practicing Reiki. So my
Yeah.
spiritual practice was very focused around releasing resentment, making amends, taking people through a recovery process, and maintaining my own in the process. And then the closer I got, the more I found that that there is some space for what I would call spiritual bypassing. Like, I have released a lot of the constant integration and constant shadow work, and am finding that I actually a lot of times have access to distracting myself, and in doing so raise my vibration enough to reach clarity, because whatever was going on for me is down here, but the solution to that isn't there, it's up here. But sometimes I don't have access to that, and there is some glaring wound, or there is some way that I'm showing up that isn't totally authentic to who I am, and it is important that I acknowledge those and release them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally. You got to dive into that. Like, oh, that pain comes up, or I tell people you're triggered, but instead of using the trigger to be triggered, use the trigger to go, what is that thing that's triggered me? And what is it in me that's responding that way? And you can do all of that in your head, you
Oh my,
know?
and then take it even a step further and go to for showing this to me. The people who have caused the most harm in my life are my greatest spiritual teachers, hands down. Like, my
Oh,
triggers,
yeah.
I see it now, I'm like, good. Like, another layer
Thank you.
to uncover. Yeah, they're not psyched about that, but I.
That's the intention of the forgiveness. It's that thank you. Thank you. Then you let it go. Thank you for showing me that lesson.
Mm. Forgiveness is one of those topics that's so complicated, especially where we are living in a society where most people are coming from a place of severe trauma. And forgiveness is that one that people get stuck on a lot. And I always have resonated with the idea of forgiveness sets me free and allows
Yeah.
me to release that connection. Because otherwise, I'm like sitting there letting it rent space in my head, and I'm continuing to harm myself when it's already passed. And when I
Yeah.
forgiveness, that's when I can really put it on the ground, and not okaying what the other person has done, but letting it go and accepting that that's who they are right now and learning to love them there.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, so beautifully said. Absolutely. You know, we hold all that stuff in the body, and that's what the tension is. When we feel tense in our shoulders, and we're like, oh gosh, my back, my leg, my neck, you know, all that tension is the stuff you haven't forgiven with other people.
Yes.
We store it there, and if you can just learn to place those people in your mind, you know, are you familiar with Ho'oponopono?
Oh yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah, right. I'm sorry. Right. So, for people who don't know, this is a powerful, powerful forgiveness method where you sit in front of what I do it with water, which is one of the ways that I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
But you essentially think of the person or the moment or the experience you want to forgive, and you kind of hold a glass of water in your hands, and then you just say, "I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you." And say it with sincerity, and then take a sip of the water, and do that 3 times.
That's beautiful. I was not introduced to that practice with water, but I do speak into water when I drink, and I'm definitely going to be.
Oh, it's really, really awesome. Yeah, I really love it. And you can feel it, right? You know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so I had asked my mom one year to do a painting of that for me, just Ho'oponopono. And I hung it in my bathroom because a lot of times when I'm upset, I'll go and I'll sit in there. And that's kind of my wonderful husband calls it my office, because I'll go and I'll have all my feelings in there. And then when I'm finally like over it, I'll look up above the door and there's that beautiful Hawaiian prayer there.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a beautiful sentiment, and there's such an energy around releasing and sort of like this opportunity for reconnection, but also space not to, which I love about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's you do it when you're ready. A lot of it too, right? Yeah. You don't have to forgive everybody for everything right now. You could just do it one little thing at a time.
Yeah.
This week, let go of this. Next week, let go of something else.
I like to say, start with the easy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't have to, shadow work doesn't have to be this big, I confront all my deepest stuff right away. It's okay to start off a little bit slower. I have had people, you know, who are in the depths, who are requiring, I mean, per Carl Jung, a spiritual experience. And, I have seen people have, and myself had the experience of doing all of the shadow work all at once and having a really profound experience. But
sure,
I've found recently that it's okay to be softer. It's okay.
Yeah.
Where Abraham Hicks, who is on YouTube and has written books, it's kind of, a lot of people are into it for law. Sure. Talks about you're never going to do it perfectly and you're never going to get it done. Like, there's always going to be more shadow work to do. There's always going to be more introspection and things like life being life, you know?
Yeah.
I'm finding that doing it a lot gentler if I'm going to be doing it forever. On the other hand, has shown me in my tower, in my big breakdown experiences, that life is going to do that to me anyway. And in the meantime, it's nice to move into a place with forgiveness as quickly as I can.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You know, when you're making music, there's this saying, a song is never finished, they're only abandoned.
Oh my God. I said that about one of my TikToks, every little piece of art I've ever created.
You just have to let it go and just know it's not right. It'll never be right, you know? Totally.
Well, beauty in that, isn't there?
There really is. There really is. Yeah, there's a beauty of letting go in that. There's a feeling of just let it go. Just do what you can, as much as you know, and be as loving as you can and as compassionate as you possibly can with other people. I know that everyone's going through some stuff, you know.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they very much are.
It's beautiful. You can feel that presence. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it's doesn't have to be difficult to access too. Like, I find that my reality is perfectly reflective of everything that's going on inside of me. And if I'm having experiences where the world feels really difficult and things just feel too heavy and strangers are rude, it's an indicator that, okay, there's something going on in me that's desiring healing. And then
Yeah.
once I go in and do that work, oh my God, it's everything shifts around me very quickly.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, it's like, there you are. I see you now.
I
You
know.
know? Yeah. It's so beautiful though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Um, a lot of the stuff that I talk about is satsang zen, which, as I said, is like Christ consciousness, and it's getting in touch with the eternal present moment.
Mm.
And when you're really, really present, you realize that nothing is real. It's all illusion. All of it's happening for you. All the world is a stage, and the control is to not is to realize that there's a lot of growth that comes with that. With great power comes great responsibility. You can't just be like, I quit my job and I don't have to do anything because I'm the king or queen of the world, and that's kind of there's a push and pull with that. There's this overwhelming, like, wow, I'm it, but then struggling with but there's limitations that come with that.
Yes, well, and that's a theme, you mentioned spiritual bypassing. That's a theme that I've seen recently. And that does, some people, I have genuinely seen them have positive experiences where they quit and they get into a master flow and they go off and live their life. For me, it just turns out that that's not part of my desire. I'm a mom, I'm a stepmom, I'm a wife. Like, there's other things that I want to have in my life that are more traditional, that introduce a lot of stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be like I get to hang out with you tonight, but like making dinner and changing diapers and fighting with the kids because they want more screen time, and like life is still there. And how can I maintain peace and inspiration and freedom during that? Because those 3D things, like, I personally believe that we come here to experience those on purpose. That like density and like physical walls, like this is a gift that we get to come here. And for me, I went deep for a long time in the simulation thing, but after a while I kind of came back and said, you know what, like I like Earth. I like it here. I am really digging my experience of expansion.
Yeah. With the adage, I'd chop wood before I was enlightened. I'd chop wood and carry water. After I was enlightened, I'd chop wood and carry water. And for those of you who don't know, you're like, what does that even mean? And then afterwards, you're like, oh my God, yeah.
I know. Well, it's so funny. Things I've been speaking a lot with, I've been noticing in the collective with my clients is like, why am I still like this? Like, why do I still have feelings? Why do I still get triggered? And it's like, well, you're still human. And that's the point.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I think we work really hard to be here. That like this takes a lot of imagination to make it so real that we actually believe that this is actually happening. And
powerful.
There's a lot of intelligence and energy that went into this, so why ruin it? I went through the stage of, I'm just going to disconnect from the world, I'm just going to meditate all the time, and I'm not going to do anything. And things kind of got boring. Like, I'm not going to lie, they got peaceful and beautiful, and things just kind of took care of themselves magically. But there was no drama. There was no anything to like spice it up a little bit, and get you to kind of work on yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I know for me that I landed in this place of wanting to receive and wanting life to feel really easy. And I will say, at least for where I am in my life right now, most of the time it feels like that. And I have crazy stuff happening in my life. Like, I don't know how I'm this okay, other than a very disciplined spiritual practice that I'm committed to.
Yeah.
And I fall short of it all the time, and I fall off the wagon. But for the most part, I am in a constant state of reaching for appreciation. And I feel like I'm skipping through life. And it feels like there's explosions going on around me because, like, and I'll be like, I don't know how I'm doing this. I'm so but it's true. and it inspires me. It's like the stuff that's painful, the stuff that's hard, like that's what informs my deepest desire. And for me, like, desire is so precious and indicates to me where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to be doing.
Sure. Yeah. I can relate there too. Like, it's the more I kind of devote myself to my spiritual practice, the more that my life is just going, oh, well, here's these other things that you wanted a long time ago, and here's some more stuff that you wanted, and you're kind of like be given all these things that can distract you from the practice, as long as you stay focused on the practice, you know?
Well, it can feel, the practice can feel good when I'm out of flow or I'm out of practice. It feels very heavy. And I would actually hear about your spiritual practice. Tell me what you do. Do you have something that you do daily, or is it more loose?
Mantra. My biggest thing I do with this mantra in the morning that I'm really I tell my playmates about all the time. But I get up in the morning and I just have this gratitude mantra that I do, and so essentially I'm still in the hypnagogic state when I first wake up, and my dog tackles me, and I wake up and the first thing I say is that how grateful I am to be alive and to be moving from one dream into this new dream. I'm into a new dream here now. And I list all of the things that I'm grateful for, everything, because I'm still not awake yet. And as I'm having gratitude for them, I'm reminding myself that I'm going into a dream. And before my feet hit the floor, I say, I'm about to put my feet on what feels like a floor, but it's not a floor. It's a dream. And the dream can be whatever I want it to be. And then I put my feet on the floor. And that really sets my whole day off. From there, I just go, okay, I'm in it now. You know, this is the dream. And I just kind of flow with it. And if things get a little weird, then I'm like, okay, there we go. We're in the dream. I can just navigate around this and dance around that. And it all works out, you know, without stress, without anything.
Yes. Well, there's so many, everything that you just described, there's several things that stick out to me. Number one, like doing it in the morning, incredible when you're in that when you're still in a different wave state and you can get yourself going. It takes a few tries to remember to do it.
Yeah.
But that builds on itself. It is like,
it really does.
I also start in the morning. I don't say it's a dream though. I imagine it's a video game. And just like for a video game, I have like different stats for things like like money or relationship points or like
okay, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll like ramp them up because I remember, oh, this is a simulation. I am an eternal being and I have access to all of this. And for me, it's about releasing limitation. I used to have a tendency to restrict myself quite a bit and not allow myself to receive, and I wasn't seeing the things I wanted to in my life. So that's where that practice emerged for me, that like I can receive anything, and really preparing myself for what my dream or what my simulation would give to me, rather than trying to wrestle certain manifestations out or looking for specific things. It's very feminine in nature, so not everybody may identify with that, but being totally in receiving and like delighted to experience whatever's in front of me in my dream that day.
I love that. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Totally. We're here to have fun. It's a playground. It's an eternal playground, and it never has to stop being a playground, you know? Even when it gets scary, it's still a playground, you know? You're totally safe, you know? It's like a haunted house, you know? They can scare you, but they can't touch you, you know? It's kind of like that.
Yeah, well, and fun is so important. I had kind of lost the significance of fun early on in my spiritual journey, but over the last few years, it's everything. And the significance of play, like, I don't know if you're into astrology, but I am a Scorpio, and I have like predominantly Scorpio. Like,
ooh.
What's the deeper understanding and like toxicity? Like, you know, I just have to go that way. And my husband is so much lighter, and he's so much more playful. And it used to like make me so frustrated because I'm like, where's the drama? Where's the darkness? And his influence, and I would resist it. I'm like thinking it's shallow, totally didn't understand the value to it. But now it's like, that's what I strive for, that sense of playfulness and like the freedom to flow and move around. Like, it doesn't have to be such a dense, dark process anymore. And when we're coming off of trauma, it's like we don't know how to live any other way. Like, survival mode, we get good at it, and if we're going to exit it to something toward play, we get confronted with all of the reasons that we didn't feel safe to. And for me, that's where my hermit, stay in the house for a few years and meditate time came in, because I needed to process.
Okay.
Mm.
That's okay. There's time for that too, though. You know, but as children, as children, we enter the kingdom of heaven, right? Yeah. So we've got to play. We got to be children. We have to play with reality and play with life, and remember that it's all about fun, and the work will happen automatically. That'll happen if you just have an intention to refine yourself. That'll just unfold for you. Right? Yeah. Well, I would love to have you. I do these Reiki sessions on my channel quite frequently, where I have new music. Yeah, I'll present new music on my personal channel. The stuff from Phi Tribe, I'll play it on my personal channel first. And I invite healers and Reiki masters and Reiki practitioners from all over to kind of tune in, and then each song kind of goes about a certain type of feeling or a certain type of ailment. It's about healing, guilt or shame, or it's about removing toxins, or about pain relief and reducing inflammation. They all have their own different thing. But we just kind of we just send a bunch of love into it with this intention of love to just do its thing into the music as I'm bouncing the final recording.
That's amazing.
It's beautiful. It's awesome. So I'd love to get you and your listeners in on it. It'd be awesome. We can all do it.
It would be an honor, because what a powerful thing you're doing. I love that you do. That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. I'm like, I mentioned before, like, I've been listening to you for a long time, and I am very weary of like authentic frequency videos, and you don't always trust them, but yours I always have, and it makes sense as to why.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Pete, you could definitely do some serious damage on somebody with this stuff. I mean, it's powerful stuff. If you had a bad intention in your heart, you could definitely do nefarious things with it, for sure.
Absolutely.
I kind of feel like they're already have nefarious things. The adversary is already doing nefarious things with it on us, I think.
I've noticed. I typically don't even like to talk about it, because I don't want to give it any airtime.
Sure.
But I have been opening up more about that, specifically because I've noticed such a ramp up in psychic attacks, I'll call them, where it feels like there's very clearly something fighting against what it is that we're trying to do here, which, take it all joy, like, it just means that we're doing something good. And
yeah, totally.
Work, and robbers don't steal from empty homes. So we're out there and we're sharing this light, and we get to be peaceful in any nefarious activity, because we know that the battle's already won.
Absolutely. The more Phi we can be, the more whole we can be within ourselves. That negative energy can't even exist around you. It just doesn't.
Exactly.
It's like a magnet. It just won't allow it to come into this field. It just can't be in this field of love.
Tell people,
right?
You are protected. You don't even need to think about it.
Right. It's already there and perfect. Well, awesome. I'm going to do one. I just made the most amazing song, which you've been hearing. You and I aren't hearing it, but the people who are watching this are hearing this music underneath us talk. And this music is to heal. It'll be the one I'm going to do Reiki for next. So you will put your Reiki on it. We'll both put our Reiki on it. We're going to put that music underneath this. And it is to remove toxins, and it is to help fight addiction. So anybody struggling with that, it should be really, really amazing and help people with that.
What a perfect one while I was sharing my experience.
It just happened by spirit, It just happens to be the one I'm working on.
Can I access some Reiki energy? I won't do my whole hand movements.
Yes, please do. I'd love it. I'd be honored. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're listening, just give me consent and permission to receive this energy healing, and you will. And I'm just activating that within my heart right now. Any sort of symptoms that you feel are totally normal. Of course, if you have any severe symptoms, please reach out to a doctor or call the emergency line. I highly doubt you'll need that, though. But if you have a headache or any sort of body movement, you can feel some energy, get some nausea, that just means it's working.
That's awesome. I love it.
People have crazy experiences with Reiki.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Like crazy experiences.
It blows my mind, and I have them, being on my end. But I did some work on a friend. I've known her since middle school, and we're about 30 now. But our whole lives, she had these like dark under eye bags, like black. She had them for as long as I can remember. And I did a long distance Reiki session with her. And following the session, she threw up a bunch of black stuff, and the bags under her eyes were gone. And I saw her 2 months later and they were still gone. And I mean, like, she had for decades. One Reiki session.
That is crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it also goes to show how much toxins will build up in our body and how much stuff is like physically carried around by us, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we store all of that in the body. That's where it goes, and we just need to work that out. Incidentally, the music uses sympathetic resonance to vibrate that stuff out of your muscles. That's what it does, and that's why it triggers all this stuff when people listen to it. It's triggering you because it's vibrating all that shit out of your body, and now you have to confront it in your mind.
Wild dream. Listening.
It's wild.
Crazy dreams. Like, I go to whole other like incarnations in my dreams. But yeah, it'll kick stuff up for sure.
Awesome. Tell me about that. What is that like?
So it is almost like I go to another place, and it's like a whole world, and it might even be 2 or 3. It does feel like planets, but I could literally draw you a map complete with highway systems for this other place that I go. And I'm always on some sort of mission, and I don't wake up remembering them. And sometimes it's very clearly like I'm on mission. Other times it's more like normal dreams where I'm like working out some, subconscious stuff. So there'll be some fears that come through as well. But it's like I'm in these other dreams and I'm very clearly doing some sort of fighting for the people. And I've been having them my entire life. And my mom.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
That's amazing. So like that's pretty interesting. It'd be interesting if like that's like what a reality is, and this is sort of like the simulation from that reality or something.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It's that real for me, that I have different relationships with people and different like assignments that I have, and it's that clear.
That's so interesting. It's so interesting. A lot of people say that we're playing 9 different dreams at the same time. That's the significance of the 9 lives, that we have 9.
You know what? That resonates.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We're on 9 different dreams simultaneously, and we're only aware of one at a time. But when we go to sleep, we go to these other places, which is why we have these recurring dreams. We're like, oh, I've been to this place. I keep going to the same town, which is not a town I lived in. It's just, it happens to me all the time.
What do you think about NPCs or bodies that don't have conscious souls?
Okay, first of all, I hate that term NPC. Even though I use it, I've been caught using it once or twice, but I see that as a psyop to become the new racism. So it'll go something like, right? It'll go something like, oh, they had it coming because they're just a non-player character, right? I could do whatever I want to them.
Heard it used in that way. Although actually, but I did hear some like Gen Z reference that they've been using it differently recently.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is your...
So no, NPC is still right. I always want to preface that by saying that, and to always use that term with compassion, that we were all NPCs at one point, I think. We were all unaware at some point.
So that's the question. Is every person that is on the planet containing a soul in their body? Because I resonate with you in that I believe that there are many people who come and choose to not wake up, and that's their experience, which is neither good. Like, my experience isn't better because I'm so fucking ascended.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I'm also...
They could be thinking we're idiots. Like, it's about getting lost in this thing,
And we're over here like, people aren't real, this is a dream. And we like... No, like, it's not lost on me that I am totally human and no better than anybody else. But my question to you is, do you believe that every single person has a soul? And that for me has always been the root of the NPC question. Are there people existing now as a part of our simulation that are either not containing a soul in their physical body, or is everybody, and I forget philosophical term for this, where nobody is real and you can't prove it because I'm the only person having my experience.
They're two sides of the same coin, right? So on one side of the coin, I am the only thing that exists. It's just the dream forever. And I can identify as the dreamer if I want to, or I can identify as the dream if I want to. And that's a very solipsism way of looking at it, which is nothing wrong with that. It's very empowering. But on the flip side of that, it's two truths that are same, or there's two things that are true at the same time. At the same time, there is a world out there and everything is alive. Even the things that we think are not alive are alive, and everything has a soul. And we choose whether or not we want to wake up in the stream or not. You know, we could choose to be an NPC. We could choose to be a Reiki master.
Yes. Well, I think it's been my experience that people do choose to stay unconscious for one reason or another.
Yeah, I think so. And it could be heart crushing. You know, you could you know.
Well, and that's like if you've ever tried to awaken anybody who is just not ready, like you just can't. And that's
yeah, it's very frustrating sometimes, you know, and you have to just let those people go, and just know that that's the experience they're here for, and love them for it.
Yeah,
absolutely love them for it.
Well, and if we are identifying with oneness, you know, and feel gratitude for them for having that experience, because just like we talked about before, like that's an incredible amount of density, you know, the lack of clarity on your true identity, and they've taken on that role so that we can all awaken.
Right. Yeah. And how beautiful is that they're there to do that for us, you know?
It's a service. It sucks.
But so is, you know, and so it is for the cows that feed us, or the lettuce that feeds us, the vegetables, the wood that we use for homes, the rocks, everything's alive. It's all here for you, and all of it is here in agreement to create this moment just for you.
When I've done psychedelics, that's been my experience.
Right on.
That I've arrived.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's kind of what helped me to arrive at the conclusion of that like the dream is already existing and it's already been here. It was just waiting to get access to it.
Totally, yeah. The dream is eternal.
Yeah, like resonate. So I think a lot of times when I go into my conspiracy theory place.
You're at home. Just for record, this is the Psychonauts Podcast, meaning.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So you're in good company.
So again, I want to preface this with I create my own reality. I prefer to not believe this to be true, and if the government or the powers that be were ill-intended, I really believe that media is a way that they're communicating that to us. And like that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, like, I don't know if you've seen that yet.
No, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It really perfectly articulated that experience for me, where there's like just every moment is existing right now, and I'm in all of them and can shift to them almost like a flip book. That like I'm shifting. Bashar talks about this, another channeler on social media. I forget who he channels. It's some Galactic Confederation type of deal. But talks about that we are like a flip book, and the present moment, all of our power being in the present moment, we're constantly shifting to different realities, like more faster than we can even comprehend. And so often we stay in the same one because of our programmed beliefs, or the ones that we've agreed to, but it's completely possible to shift them quickly.
Sure. The multiverse theory, it's a like great model for the consciousness.
Yes.
It's a great way of thinking about what's happening, for sure.
Yeah. too.
Very, very deep stuff. I've written 2 books on this subject. My first book was all about multiverse theory, all about that, and it was based on psychedelics. Essentially, I was an atheist. I didn't believe in anything, and I did a bunch of psychedelics because I'm a music producer, and that's what you do. It's kind of like the prerequisite. But from those experiences, it went from being a party drug to, all right, everybody needs to get out of my house, and I have to connect with whatever this thing is. This is very, very spiritual. I'm an atheist, and I'm telling you, this is a spiritual connection. This is something else. And the places that I went in those moments, many thousands of those moments because I'm I don't have to do anything. I just make music. So yeah, the things I learned were just, they changed my life forever.
That's so powerful to hear your experience. I relate to it a lot in that like I mentioned before, I grew up in the church, but I was also very interested in philosophy, particularly apologetics, which is history and science versus the Bible, and basically trying to prove creationism. And spent a lot of time, like my early teenage years, like that's what I was into, super nerd. Going for Jesus, me on stage on the worship team, like
that's awesome.
But it was my doubts and my convictions and my this doesn't resonate with me and all of that stuff that led me to the great expansion that I'm having. So it's like kind of coming from the opposite experience, but coming to such a similar place where spirituality ended up being so much bigger than I could have ever imagined, which is what the doubt was coming from anyway, because I could feel that. And I was like, there's more to this.
Yeah. I think you have to go. That's the whole power of doubting Thomas, right? Yeah. Like, yeah. Many people don't know the story of Thomas because a lot of that story has been taken out of the Bible. But the doubting Thomas he was the only apostle who doubted Jesus had come back, and he stuck his hand in the wound of Jesus to know that it was the truth and that Jesus had come back. Of course, all of this is metaphor. It depends on your perspective of things. But then Jesus, only because he was the one who doubted, only he was chosen to walk alone with Jesus for 30 days and 30 nights before Jesus ascended. And that wisdom is the book of Thomas. Uh-oh. We lost Megan!
As I'm fixing myself here. I used to knock out light bulbs, and that was like when I first started my Reiki training. I had a new car that just wouldn't start. Anytime I was angry, the car would not start. I took it to the dealer, I took it to my mechanic. I don't even know how many times. The only way that they could explain it was that the car was having a brain fart, and that's the best answer I got until I channeled the energy better. So I apologize, but it does happen. I've had some pretty powerful spiritual experiences like that. One time, my friend had just started on her shamanic journey, and she was asked by spirit to wear a covering over her head. And one point during coffee, she took it off by accident, and we both audibly heard somebody, like, and it sounded like vibration. The television wasn't on, the radio wasn't on, there was nothing. It was like it came next to us out of thin air saying, no, put it back on, and this very like almost like a radio voice. It was one of the craziest things I've ever experienced. This stuff, the closer we get, the higher we raise as a collective vibration and move towards that, we're gonna start to see a lot more of that. Like the lady on the plane, that's not a real guy. Like gonna be more of that.
I thought that would be the best Halloween costume for somebody if they were gonna do the Halloween costume. They should have done her right and have like the boyfriend be like the alien. I don't know. That'd be funny. Yeah, it's interesting as we wake up that the conspiracies, we're watching the world just get weirder and weirder every single day, and it's just gonna continue doing that.
Like,
right?
I'm at this point, I'm not a flat earther. Like,
oh my God. Okay.
I'm like, I don't know. The Bible talks about a firmament. It's just the second. Honestly, what it was the second that they said COVID vaccines were free, I was like, no thanks. I knew the gig was up. The moment that happened, I'm like, oh my God, there it is. They pulled it off. I cannot believe this is the biggest heist I've ever seen in my life. Well, and it's crazy, and it's so funny that people, and this is what I'm talking about when I said, like, I saw a divide early on, because to me, it's totally clear. Like, all of the stuff coming out about UFOs, all these things that, like, the CIA newly released documents, all of those things that they gaslit society for decades, and they do it through devaluing people and reducing their credibility by making fun of them and calling them silly. So we're here as a very silly woo-woo community, but if you look, it's not that wild. And I mean, even if we look at textbooks from we really start to see it in textbooks in the 1920s, where history is rewritten, where accounts are different, where they talked a lot about the ether in science back then. All of that's been removed, and it's just
I'm with you. I have to tell you, I have to clarify that the flat Earth thing is a very hot topic on my show, because
is it?
Yeah, a lot of times I'll call it a psyop, and then people don't understand what I mean when I say that. And it's kind of good because my engagement goes way up, because every time I do it, I get 50 comments about, no, it's flat Earth. How could you not see it's flat? Blah 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 blah. I'm taking it so much further than flat Earth. Okay, it's a flat plane forever. There's no base reality. It's just flat forever. It's not that the Earth is flat. I'm a no earther.
Ooh.
It's just a dream. That's it.
Okay, so is there an edge to the Earth?
Is there an edge to a dream? Ooh. Do you really go to Paris? When you dream about Paris, do you really go to Paris, or you just dream that you went to Paris? Your reality change. Your reality is as big as you want it to be.
So yeah, I'm not convinced that Paris exists, because I've never been.
Yeah. I can tell you it doesn't exist right now. Except for maybe the person from Paris watching us.
That's personally gone to Paris. If a viewer says I've gone to Paris, I'll still say I don't know. Just kidding.
Trust me, it's there. It was there the last time I looked.
It was.
Yeah. I'll vouch for it.
For Paris.
Well, I don't want to take too much of your time, Meg. It's awesome hanging out with you. I had such an awesome time having this conversation with you.
We'll have to.
I hope you come out and do it again with me.
Yes,
great. Great.
Reiki with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this Reiki thing probably tomorrow sometime, and okay. I'll shoot you a text, let you know when to do it, and come on and bless the music with me, and we'll do it. And feel free to broadcast it if you want to, and get your people involved.
Ooh, yeah,
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, let's.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks again. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Lovely hanging out. And thank you again for coming. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.